This year is about pursuing something great. This year is about the dream that I've had for as long as I can remember. This year is not about showing up. It's about making a statement. Trust me when I say this. The time is now. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Time Is Now. Another little bit of a sit down here for you guys. I want to just address these topics, little topics here and there as we go through the series, and hopefully just give you little droplets of value that you guys can take into your own training, your own physique development, and maybe your own coaching, for example. So today we're going to talk about the title, that is, when should you bring in cardio in a competition prep? Now, this is obviously in the parameters of a competition prep and the parameters of that you're ready for that competition prep. Many times as a coach, and I'm sure many coaches out there will see, they often get a client who joins up for, right, I've got 16 weeks out, and they're not in the place to cut, because if they've got too much body fat, they're not eating enough food, they're doing too much cardio, or there's some metabolic issues that need to be fixed and corrected, or optimized is probably the right word, before you go into a prep. This advice, this is if you're ready, you know, and when you're ready, you're eating a lot of food, 4,000 plus calories. You're not really doing any cardio whatsoever, other than if it's just for your heart, just to kind of keep that cardiovascular energy there. And steps, the amount of walking you do per day is pretty low as well. That's like optimal, because we've got a lot of variables to change. You can put the steps up, you can pull the food down, you can put the cardio up. So the question here is, when do you bring that cardio in? Now, if you're in that ideal position where food is nice and high and steps are nice and low, that's going to be your first change. That's going to be the first thing that's going to yield our initial fat loss. And what you're going to notice is, just by pulling down food, let's say you're at 4,500 calories, let's say you go to 3,500 calories, let's say you're not counting your steps, let's say you start counting them towards 8,000. Just by walking a little bit more and controlling what you eat by less than 1,000 calories, you're going to see a drop off of water, you're going to see a drop off of probably a little bit of body fat initially, but also you're going to see like just digestive tract weight reduce, because you've got less food in you, of course. So you're going to see that initial drop off. Let's say we could use me for an example. I was 125 kilos a couple of weeks back. I have reduced my food and increased my steps, and I have dropped back down into 120 kilos just from that initial change. You got to remember, each change that you use during a prep is a tool. It's part of your arsenal. It's a thing that you bring in order to turn the dial. So you don't want to turn them all at once. And obviously, if you're an assisted user, anabolics come as one of those options that you can bring in. So let's say you've come through that first 2 weeks, you've lost, your 3, 4, 5, 6 kilos, whatever it may be, depending how big you are. The bigger you are, the bigger that drop off tends to be. And then you start to now establish a deficit. You've kind of been at that maintenance phase. You've potentially pushed a little bit into a deficit just by moving a little bit more. Now it's time to turn those notches up. Let's say if you put this in a week-to-week basis, let's say you've got your 20 weeks before your prep, I'd like to think that 18 to 20 weeks is a really good place for most people, because it gives you a couple of weeks to get your feet wet and to learn your routine. So you say 20 weeks, you do 3 or 4 weeks of this, you're going to lose that initial body weight, and you're going to almost feel lean. I feel leaner now. You're going to feel lighter, you're going to move quicker, you're going to have more energy about you. That's when you can start to manipulate everything else. And it's not just going to come in one go. So yes, I would bring in cardio, potentially not the first change, potentially not the second change, but the third change in a competition prep. And that is generally because we then need to start thinking about food for fuel, food for energy, food for performing. Because what dictates weight loss from fat loss is how well you train and what's your ability to train. Do you go from benching 100 kilos to 50 kilos? That's no good. Your body's got no reason to keep that muscle. So that's where food becomes a priority for training. And that's why you don't necessarily just want to solely cut away food, and actually doing a bit of cardio to keep your food a little bit higher can help with performance. So that's when it becomes a balancing act. There is no one size fits all. I've had clients who have to go on cardio straight from the beginning because the body fat's going to be high. Some people just don't metabolically respond as well. Some people metabolically respond really well. I'm one of those people. I don't struggle to get lean, although I do struggle to get lean, and I don't have to do hours and hours of cardio. I don't have to eat sub 2,000 calories. I've been there before, but I don't need to go there right now because I've got a lot more muscle mass. So bringing in an initial amount of cardio, it would look like something like 3 lots of 20 minutes to keep at your baseline. And then yes, you are gonna have to taper that up and up and up, but that's gonna have to be your decision based off the amount of food that you're eating, the amount of cardio that you have, but also things like how much time do you have. There are people who who work 9 to 6, 9 to 7, and then want to go train till 9 and then have to do an hour of cardio till 10, or maybe they have to do it before work, and it gets a lot. So how much cardio can you fit in? Are you able to fit in another couple of days, or are you going to have to take away food? Those are things that you have to consider. But after that initial 3 or 4 weeks, potentially 5 weeks, and then you've started to really push into the depth of your deficit, then the cardio is going to have to come in, and it should come in. If you're someone who has to bring it in early, then that's just going to be because your weight isn't moving quick enough, your body isn't responding sometimes, and that happens. You know, quite often you can go into a cut and your body weight doesn't change initially. I've had that many, many, many times, and I'll have it many, many times again for my clients. But it's going to have to be a moving goalpost. It's going to have to be a moving target. But generally speaking, 3rd, 4th change, start bringing in that cardio. And I want to make it very important that don't be afraid to do cardio too early. Don't be afraid to get lean too early. A lot of people have messaged me since I've been documenting my prep on Instagram and also on YouTube as well. Why are you taking your calories down 1,000? Why are you doing 10,000 steps already? And potentially next week we'll have cardio. Why are you doing cardio 16, 15 weeks out? Have you ever been to the bone peeled before? If no, don't ask me. If yes, I'm someone who needs to do that. And that's just how I roll. Sometimes, you know, last year we got to 14 weeks out and I was shredded. I was there, I was ready. And I competed at 14 weeks out, after 14 weeks of competing, sorry. And from there, I didn't have to do any more cardio because I was done. Once you've got rid of the body fat, you don't have to keep up that cardio every single day because there's no more deficit to establish. You can go to maintenance level. So I would much rather be too shredded too early because you can eat into the show or you can relax into the show. Relax, it still feels shit. But I think people are very, very quick to demonize me. Well, I mean, I'm going to speak from experience. People are very, very quick to demonize my decisions. And not necessarily just about cardio, but obviously about anabolics, about how much I'm eating. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? It's spoken from a position like they've had a lot of power and they've done all this before. They're a top coach, but they're not. If you've been shredded before, you know where you have to go for this. I've done 2 hours of cardio a day before. I've eaten 1,500 calories a day before. And guess what? You just have to do it to get shredded. Bodybuilding is not a healthy sport. You know, doing copious amounts of cardio every day is not healthy. So there's a difference between what I'm doing between healthy and getting shredded. So to summarize that, guys, when should you be bringing in cardio? If you're in an optimal position, cardio should be a tool that you use that comes in at a very baseline level, spread across the week, maybe your 3rd change, week 3, week 4, maybe into your bodybuilding prep. And then you can really start to ramp that up. But don't be afraid to ramp it up. Don't be afraid to increase that deficit because no one likes someone looking at a place on a bodybuilding stage and having body fat to lose. So that's my advice, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.